This is Katie Schutterbeck on this fine August morning from Southwest Florida on her podcast, From Finding Dory to Saving Dory. The blockbuster movie Finding Dory came out on June 12, 2016, and had the highest grossing opening weekend of any Pixar film. It is also the highest grossing animated film of all times in the U.S. Why is this a problem? Families go to see movies that feature fun, friendly animals on the big screen. Then they rush out to buy one. It happened when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies came out. At one point, 90% of purchased turtles were estimated to have died in the United States alone. It happened in the wake of Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and the tiny dogs paid the price when they were abandoned at high rates. It happened with Finding Nemo, when children clamored for clownfish. After Nemo hit the big screen, sales of orange and white striped clownfish rose by as much as 40%, according to some estimates. Conveniently, clownfish are simple to breed in captivity, and demand was easy to satisfy. A similar rush for pet dories has begun, and fragile coral reef environments are likely to suffer. That's because even though Dory was a model of resilience and optimism in her perilous quest to rescue Nemo from a dentist's office fish tank, young blue tangs have proven much less hardy inside lab tanks. As Dory graduates from sidekick to leading lady, the lack of a captive bred option will drive collectors to source more blue tangs from the wild, a harvest that's often unregulated and destructive. As a whole, the industry is not renowned for its environmentally friendly business practices. The waters in the Coral Triangle, the region around Indonesia and the Philippines, supply most marine aquarium fish sold worldwide. And without regulations to control collections, this region also suffers most from damaging collection techniques. Some collectors there still use cyanide, a chemical poison that temporarily paralyzes fish and harms corals. Eric Casani walked into a windowless room at the University of Florida's Ruskin campus on a humid spring morning in 2014. A few kilometers away, anchored sailboats bobbed in the marinas of Tampa Bay. Inside the Tropical Aquaculture Laboratory, TAL, the biologist's destination was a much smaller body of saltwater, a 210-liter tank filled with flea-sized baby fish struggling to survive. The latest attempt to conquer what has become equally parts scientific puzzle, conservation quest, and race against Disney. The goal of the experiment was simple: to raise in a lab, for the first time, Pacific blue tangs from freshly laid eggs to fully formed iconic reef fish. But success had been elusive, and after dozens of failed attempts over many months to raise the oval-shaped, yellow-streaked bluefish. Dory was as usual in the back of Casani's mind when he arrived at work that spring day, and he was eager to check on the not-yet fish, which were defying expectations. 2 weeks earlier, 4,000 eggs had hatched into nearly invisible larvae inside a cylindrical tub big enough to fit several toddlers. And while most previous trials had ended around day 6, these fishlets lived on. When the larvae surpassed another typical crunch point at 11 days, Casani wondered if they would finally make it. "You try not to get too excited because there's a lot of disappointment," he said. But it was awesome. Then came the beginning of the end. Casani noticed that the larvae looked pinhead, which meant they weren't eating. Some were swimming in a tight little circle, also a sign of demise. By day 20, all were dead. Another setback on a long road with a now imminent deadline. Fast forward 2 years, and July 19, 2016, researchers from the University of Florida Tropical Aquaculture Laboratory said they had successfully bred Pacific blue tangs in captivity for the first time. Researchers say the breakthrough means that one day home aquariums and marine life exhibits might not have to rely on the capture of blue tangs in the wild. Lab director Craig Watson said the next step is helping commercial producers replicate the researchers' success with the species. Perhaps Dory's story holds hidden premonition, albeit skewed by a geographical error. The new film takes Dory on a journey to the place of her birthplace, a research facility in California. It looks like Dory might be saved after all. This podcast has excerpts from the following articles. Breeding Day, an article by Emily Sohn, published in Hakai magazine on May 3, 2016. Dory bred in captivity for first time, an article by Rhett Talbot, published by National Geographic on July 19, 2016. Florida Project breeds finding dory fish, Associated Press, published in the News Press, July 19, 26. An NPR commentary by Barbara King on June 30th, 2016. Thank you for listening. Talk to you later.